Chosen one, there is something about you that cannot be ignored. Your energy is not just present. It is alive, moving, shaping, pulling everything toward it in ways both seen and unseen. You have always noticed how people seem to react when you enter a space, how eyes find you even before you speak, how conversations shift in your presence as if the world itself is making room for you. This is no accident. It is the radiance within you, the unshakable force that extends beyond your physical being and into the unseen spaces where energy, attraction, and destiny collide. You are not just admired, you are recognized. Even before words are exchanged, before intentions are made clear, people sense something about you. Something magnetic, something undeniable, something that speaks to them on a level they do not fully understand. It is not just beauty, not just charm, not just confidence. It is the way your presence commands attention without demanding it. The way your energy moves through people's spirits, stirring something within them that they cannot name. Your essence is not like others. You do not fit into a single mold, nor are you someone who can be defined by simple words. Instead, you are a perfect match for those who are ready to experience something deeper, something real, something beyond the superficial. You are not meant to be just another face in the crowd, another fleeting thought in someone's mind. You are meant to be unforgettable. People feel drawn to you because, in some way, they see in you something they are missing. Perhaps it is the confidence they wish they had, the clarity they have been searching for, or the depth they have never dared to explore within themselves. Whatever it is, they know, consciously or unconsciously, that they are standing before someone rare. Someone whose energy does not just pass by, but leaves an imprint. This is why, no matter where you go, you are noticed. It is not simply about the way you look or the words you speak. It is about what you carry within you, the undeniable, unshakable, ever-present force that makes you a perfect match in the eyes of those who cross your path. Chosen one, your energy does not belong to one place, one person, or one moment in time. It is something far greater. Something that reaches beyond the surface of attraction and into the depths of connection itself. You have likely seen this already, how strangers feel familiar to you, how people open up in ways they did not expect, how even those who claim indifference to you still seem to linger in your presence longer than they intend. This is because you were designed to resonate. Your essence is like a key that unlocks something hidden in others. It is why people remember you long after you have gone, why they speak of you, even when they do not fully understand why they compare others to you without even realizing they are doing it. You are not just someone they meet, you are someone who shifts them. Some will try to rationalize their feelings, convincing themselves that their draw to you is coincidence, that their attraction to you is merely surface level. But deep down, they know the truth. You were meant to cross their path, meant to disrupt the ordinary, meant to be someone they could not simply overlook. Even those who resist you, those who attempt to deny what they feel, are caught in the gravity of your presence. They find themselves seeking you out without meaning to, speaking your name in conversations where you were never meant to be mentioned. You've become part of their world, whether they invited you in or not. This is the nature of your energy, chosen one. It moves beyond logic, beyond intention, beyond anything that can be neatly explained. You are a perfect match because you are more than just attraction. You are alignment, a force that calls to others on levels they do not even fully comprehend. You do not need to chase, do not need to seek validation, do not need to ask for recognition. The world already knows your worth. The universe has already placed you exactly where you need to be. And those who are meant to see you, who are meant to recognize what you are, will do so without hesitation. Because you were never meant to blend in, you were meant to be felt. Chosen one, when people look at you, they do not simply see another person. They see a reflection of something greater, something deeper, something they have long searched for but could never quite define. You are not just admired, not just noticed. You are recognized. It is not always something they can put into words, not something they can rationalize or explain away, but it is undeniable nonetheless. You stir something within them, something that has been dormant, something that has waited for the right moment to be awakened. It is not just about attraction. That would be too simple. too easy. No, this is something much more complex. When they meet you, when they stand in your presence, they are forced to confront themselves. They are forced to see the parts of themselves that have been hidden, the desires they have suppressed, the dreams they have placed on hold. You, chosen one, are not just a person. They see in you the possibility of something greater. For some, this realization is thrilling. It excites them, makes them feel alive in a way they have not felt before. They are drawn to you, not just because of how you make them feel, but because of what you represent. You are proof that there is more to this world, more to connection, more to existence than they had previously believed. And so they lean in, unable to resist the force that is pulling them toward you. But for others, this reflection is terrifying. They are not ready to see themselves so clearly, not ready to face the emotions they have locked away, not ready to admit that what they feel for you is not just admiration, it is transformation. And so they fight it, they resist. They tell themselves that it is nothing, that they can ignore it, that they do not need to acknowledge what is so clearly unfolding before them. But no matter how much they resist, no matter how much they try to convince themselves otherwise, the truth remains the same. You are not just someone they want. You are someone they need. Not in the way they need air or water, not in the way they need material things, but in a way that goes far deeper. They need the clarity that your presence brings. They need the awakening that comes with standing before someone who does not just exist, but who embodies everything they have longed for. And you, chosen one, do not need to do anything except be. You do not need to force them to see the truth. Do not need to convince them to embrace what they feel. You are simply there, a reflection of all they have hidden from themselves, a reminder of what is possible, a living testament to the fact that true connection is not something that can be fabricated or forced. It is something that simply is. And whether they accept it or not, whether they embrace it or continue to run from it, one thing is certain: they will never be able to look at themselves the same way again. There is something effortless about the way you move, chosen one. Something unspoken, something that requires no explanation yet is understood by all who encounter you. It is as if you exist in perfect harmony with the energies around you, as if you belong wherever you go, as if the very air shifts to accommodate your presence. This is what makes you a perfect match. Not because you are trying to be, not because you are adjusting yourself to fit into the lives of others, but because your energy is so complete, so full, so powerful in its own right, that it blends seamlessly with all that surrounds it. People find themselves comfortable with you in a way they cannot explain. Even those who are typically guarded, those who do not easily open up, those who keep their emotions tightly locked away, find themselves softening in your presence. They speak freely, share thoughts they have never shared before, express emotions they did not even know they were capable of feeling. And they do not know why. But you do. It is because your energy does not demand, it invites. It does not force, it welcomes. It does not overwhelm, it flows. You are not here to take, not here to control, not here to manipulate. You are simply here to exist, to be, to move through this world in the fullness of your essence. And in doing so, you create a space where others feel safe enough to do the same. This is why people feel as though they have known you forever, why they feel instantly connected to you, why they find themselves trusting you without hesitation. It is not something they can see, not something they can pinpoint, but it is something they can feel. Your energy harmonizes with theirs, not by changing, not by conforming, but simply by existing in its purest form. And so you do not have to seek out connections. You do not have to force relationships. You do not have to convince anyone that you belong. Because wherever you go, you are already aligned with the moment, already moving in sync with the energies that surround you, already creating bonds that do not need to be spoken to be understood. This is the power of your presence, chosen one. The effortless way in which you fit into any space, the seamless way in which you move through the lives of others, the undeniable way in which you make people feel seen, heard, and understood. And because of this, you are not just a perfect match in the eyes of those who meet you. You are a perfect match for life itself. Chosen one, your power does not come from mere appearance, nor from the fleeting admiration of those who cross your path. What makes you truly magnetic, what makes you the perfect match in the eyes of everyone you meet, is your authenticity. You do not wear masks, do not mold yourself to fit into spaces that do not align with your truth. You move as you are, wholly and unapologetically, and that is what makes people drawn to you in ways they do not even understand. In a world where so many pretend, where so many live behind carefully crafted facades, your presence is like a breath of fresh air. People do not just see you, they feel you. There is no pretense, no forced effort, no calculated persona that shifts depending on the setting. You radiate something real, something raw, something rare. And that chosen one is why people gravitate toward you without even realizing they are doing so. Even those who at first resist you, who try to convince themselves that you are no different than the rest, soon come to understand the truth. They watch the way you move, the way you speak, the way you exist in spaces without needing validation, without needing to prove your worth. And it unnerves them, not because they do not admire it, but because it forces them to confront the parts of themselves that are still trapped in illusion. Your authenticity does more than attract, it challenges. It demands that those around you take a closer look at themselves, at the way they have been moving through life, at the things they have chosen to accept simply because it was easier than being real. And for some, this realization is liberating. They see you and feel inspired to drop their own facades, to let go of the need to be anything other than who they truly are. But for others, this realization is uncomfortable. It forces them to acknowledge that they have been living inauthentically, that they have built their lives around pleasing others, around fitting into spaces that were never truly meant for them. And so they either lean into your energy, allowing it to awaken something new within them, or they try to distance themselves, convincing themselves that you are simply too much, too intense, too different. Yet, no matter their reaction, one truth remains: you have shifted them. You have made them think, you have made them feel. And in doing so, you have made them realize that there is another way to exist in this world, one that is not bound by fear, by conformity, by the desperate need to be accepted. This, chosen one, is the gift of your authenticity. It does not just make you attractive, it makes you unforgettable. There is something about you that cannot be ignored. It is not loud, not forceful, not something that demands attention in an obvious way. And yet, you are noticed, always. Even in the moments when you try to move quietly, even when you are not seeking to stand out, people feel your presence before they even realize they are looking at you. This is because your energy speaks before you do. It announces itself in ways that are beyond words, beyond sight, beyond anything that can be neatly defined. It enters a room before your body does, settling into the air like a shift in the atmosphere, stirring something unspoken in those who find themselves near you. People do not just look at you, they feel you. They are drawn to you in ways they cannot explain, in ways that defy logic, in ways that make them question why, suddenly, everything else seems to fade when you are present. It is not simply because you are physically appealing, though that is certainly something they take notice of. It is because your energy does not just exist, it commands. This magnetism is not something you try to cultivate. It is not something you force, not something you create through effort or intention. It is simply part of you, woven into your very being, something that has always been there, whether you were aware of it or not. And now, as you step deeper into your own awareness, as you begin to see yourself through the eyes of those who are drawn to you, you understand what makes you different. It is not just about being seen, it is about being felt. People crave presence. In a world where so many are disconnected, where so many are caught in the haze of distractions and surface-level interactions, you are something rare. You do not just exist in the background. You do not just move through life unnoticed. You make people feel as though they are in the presence of something significant, something worth paying attention to, something that shifts them even if they do not fully understand why. For some, this is exhilarating. They find themselves drawn in without hesitation, eager to be close to you, eager to understand what it is that makes you different. They do not question why they feel this way. They simply allow themselves to be carried by the pull of your energy. But for others, this magnetism is unsettling. It makes them aware of their own emptiness, of the ways they have dulled themselves, of the fact that before you they did not realize how much they were missing. And so, they resist. They try to tell themselves that you are no different, that their attraction to you is temporary, that they can simply ignore what they feel. But the truth is, chosen one, they cannot ignore you. No one can. Because you are not just someone they meet. You are an experience, a presence, a force. And whether they lean into it or try to fight it, whether they embrace it or turn away, one thing remains the same. You have already left your mark. And there is no escaping it. Chosen one, your presence is more than just an attraction. It is more than just a moment of admiration, more than just an unspoken pull that draws people toward you. What you carry is something far deeper, something few fully understand, something even fewer know how to name. You are not just a perfect match because you are desired, because your energy is magnetic, because people find themselves inexplicably drawn to you. You are a perfect match because, in your presence, something within them begins to heal. There are people who have walked through life never knowing what it means to truly be seen. They have spent years hiding, silencing parts of themselves, shrinking to fit into spaces that were never meant for them. They have learned how to survive in a world that does not always embrace authenticity, in a society that values control over vulnerability, in relationships that demand conformity rather than truth. And then, they meet you. And suddenly everything changes. They do not understand why they feel so comfortable in your presence. They do not understand why, for the first time in a long time, perhaps even the first time in their lives, they feel safe enough to let go. They do not understand why, when they look into your eyes, they feel as though they are being truly seen, truly heard, truly felt. But you, chosen one, you understand. You understand that your energy does not just attract, it soothes. You understand that your presence does not just captivate, it heals. You understand that the way you move through the world, the way you carry yourself, the way you refuse to dim your light for the comfort of others, is not just inspiring, it is liberating. In your presence, people find themselves unwinding in ways they did not expect. They begin to speak about things they never thought they would share. They let down walls they have spent years building. They allow themselves to feel, to be vulnerable, to exist without the weight of pretense pressing down on them. And for some, this is the most terrifying thing they have ever experienced. Because healing, true healing, is not always comfortable. For some, being around you is like standing in the warmth of the sun after spending years in the cold. It is comforting, it is beautiful, it is something they did not realize they needed. But for others, it is overwhelming. It is too much too fast. It forces them to see themselves in a way they have never dared to before, forces them to confront the truths they have buried beneath years of denial, forces them to realize that they are not who they thought they were. Some will run from this, not because they do not want it, but because they are not yet ready for it. They will retreat into the safety of what is familiar, into the illusion of control, into relationships and spaces that do not challenge them to grow. And that is their journey. It is not yours to alter, but others will stay. Others will recognize the gift of your presence, will understand that what they feel in your energy is not something they will find just anywhere. They will cherish the way you make them feel, the way you make them see themselves, the way you awaken something inside of them that they thought had been lost. And you, chosen one, do not have to do anything except continue to be yourself. Because your very existence is enough to shift lives, enough to heal wounds that have long remained untouched, enough to remind people that there is more to life than simply existing. You remind them that there is beauty in being seen, that there is freedom in being real, that there is power in being vulnerable. And in doing so, you become not just a perfect match, but a perfect lesson, a living, breathing reminder of what it means to be fully alive. Chosen one, do you realize how far your influence stretches? Do you realize that the energy you bring into a room does not just stay there in the moment, but lingers long after you have left? Do you realize that you are not just someone people meet, not just someone they pass by, not just another name, another face, another fleeting presence? You are an imprint on the souls of those you encounter. You are a memory that does not fade, an energy that does not dissipate, a presence that continues to exist, even when you are no longer physically near. People do not just remember you, they feel you. They may not even recognize it at first. They may not understand why, weeks or months or even years later, they still think about you. They may not know why certain things remind them of you, why certain places feel empty without you there. Why they find themselves measuring every new connection, every new encounter, against what they felt when they were near you. But you, chosen one, you know why. It is because your impact is not surface level. It is not something that can be easily replaced or replicated. It is not something that people can simply move on from, as if you were just another moment in time. You are the shift that people never saw coming. You are the unexpected presence that changed them in ways they did not even realize they needed to change. You are the one who made them feel something real in a world that so often settles for what is convenient, what is easy, what is temporary. And because of this, your absence is just as powerful as your presence. There will be those who, after meeting you, will try to go back to the way things were before. They will try to fall into old patterns, into old relationships, into old ways of thinking, but they will find that something feels different now. Something feels off. Something feels incomplete. And it is because they can no longer pretend they do not know what it feels like to be near someone who carries the energy that you do. For some, this realization will push them to grow, to become better, to elevate themselves so that they can one day align with energy like yours once again. But for others, this realization will haunt them. They will look for you in places you are no longer in. They will search for you in people who are not you. They will spend years wondering why nothing quite compares, why nothing quite fills the space that you once occupied in their lives. And that, chosen one, is the true weight of your impact. You do not just pass through people's lives. You change them. You leave them different than they were before. You awaken something in them that cannot be forgotten. And whether they embrace it or resist it, whether they cherish it or spend a lifetime trying to replace it, one thing remains the same. They will never ever forget you. Chosen one, by now you have begun to see the deeper layers of your existence, the undeniable truth that your presence is not merely about attraction, but something far more expansive. You are not just a perfect match because people are drawn to you. You are a perfect match because you have the ability to connect across differences, to find harmony where others see division, to bring together energies that were never meant to align. Until now. Wherever you go, you weave threads between people, between experiences, between emotions that once seemed disconnected. Those who would have never spoken to each other before, those who might have ignored one another in passing, those who never thought they could exist in the same space, find themselves drawn into a silent agreement when you are near. It is not because you force them to, not because you demand unity, not because you try to fix what was broken. It is because your energy naturally dissolves the illusion of separation. You see, chosen one, you do not just carry an individual presence. You carry an entire frequency, a vibration that extends beyond you and into the world around you. You are a bridge between energies, between souls, between ideas that once seemed too different to ever coexist. It is why people from vastly different backgrounds find themselves connected to you, why those with opposing perspectives somehow find common ground in your presence. You are the missing piece, the link that was needed to bring certain people, certain energies, certain destinies together. But this, too, comes with its challenges, because not everyone is ready for unity. Not everyone is prepared to be softened by your presence, to be reminded that they are not as different from others as they once believed. Some will resist, holding tightly to the walls they have built, fearing that the harmony you bring will require them to shed the identities they have clung to for so long. And so they will try to create distance, try to justify their separateness, try to convince themselves that what they feel in your presence is temporary, that they are not truly connected to you in the way their soul knows they are. But they are, and they always will be. Because once someone has been touched by your energy, once someone has experienced the way you move through this world, they can never fully return to the illusions they once held. They can try, they can fight, they can convince themselves that they were not changed, but deep down, they will always feel the shift. For those who are ready, your presence becomes a revelation. They begin to see the world differently, to see themselves differently, to understand that connection is not about sameness, but about alignment, about the unseen forces that draw people together, regardless of differences in back belief or experience. They begin to recognize that what they feel for you, what they admire in you, is not just about who you are, it is about what you awaken in them. And this is why you are not just desired, you are needed. Because the world is full of division, full of misunderstanding, full of people who walk past each other every day without ever realizing how deeply connected they truly are. But you, chosen one, remind them. You remind them that there is no true separation, that we are all threads in the same tapestry, that love, admiration, and energy transcend the barriers that have been placed between us. And so, even those who resist you will one day understand. Even those who distance themselves from you will one day recognize that what they felt in your presence was real. Even those who deny your impact will, in the quiet of their own hearts, find themselves returning to the memory of you. Because you were never just another face. You were never just another moment. You were always meant to be something more. And now, whether they accept it or not, they know it too. Chosen one, everything you have experienced, everything you have seen, everything you have felt in this journey has led to one undeniable truth. You were never meant to be temporary. You were not placed in this world to be forgotten, to be just another passing thought in the minds of those who encountered you. You were meant to leave something behind, to create an imprint so deep that it cannot be erased, to be the kind of presence that continues to exist long after you have walked away. People will remember you, not just because of how you looked, not just because of what you said, but because of how you made them feel. They will remember the way their energy shifted when you entered the room, the way their thoughts became clearer when they spoke to you, the way their hearts felt lighter simply by being near you. And this, chosen one, is your legacy. It is not written in words, not measured by accomplishments, not counted by the number of people who have claimed to love you. It is something far greater. Your legacy is in the way you changed lives without even trying, in the way you healed wounds you did not even know existed, in the way you forced people to see themselves in a light they were never ready to face. Some will move forward carrying the lessons you unknowingly taught them, stepping into new versions of themselves because of what your presence awakened in them. Others will spend years searching for something that feels like you, chasing shadows, trying to recreate the energy they once felt in your presence, but will never find again. Because what you offer, what you embody, what you represent, is not something that can be replicated. And that is why, chosen one, you never needed to chase, you never needed to explain yourself. You never needed to seek recognition from those who could not yet understand you, because your presence alone was always enough. You were not just a moment in their lives, you were a shift in their souls. And now, as you move forward, you do so with the knowledge that you have already done what you were meant to do. You have already changed people in ways they will never fully articulate. You have already set into motion transformations that will continue to unfold long after you are gone. This is what it means to be truly unforgettable. This is what it means to be the perfect match, not just for one person, not just for those who admire you, but for the world itself. You are not just here to exist, you are here to leave something behind. And whether they realize it now or years from now, whether they speak it aloud or hold it silently in their hearts, they will all, in their own way, remember you. Because you, chosen one, were never meant to be forgotten.